Okay, so we've got our little two-block program working fine, but as you can look on your screen right now, it's not very tidy at all, is it? We can tidy it up by a little bit of logic, just adding a little bit of logic to the blocks that we've already made. So what we're going to do is go back to the design view. If you have a look in the properties, you'll find a little checkbox that says visible. Now when the program starts, the only thing that we want to be visible is button hello, because that's all we need to start off with. So what we need to do now is go through and uncheck visible on every other component. Once that is done, you will find that on your emulator your screen should look like that. So we do only have the hello button showing, and obviously we do need things to be made visible again. So if we return to the blocks editor, what we're going to need to happen is to add a little bit to, first off, when button hello is clicked. So what happens is we need label hello to become visible. So let's have a look in my blocks, label hello, and change its visibility. And next we're going to add a little bit of logic. So from the built-in, there's a logic box just there, and we just want it to be made true. I'll get rid of our exclamation point, and if we have a look at our emulator, now when we press it, it shows us the label hello world. But we also want something else to happen, don't we? We also need that question to appear as well. So we need to change the visibility of the text box. So back to the blocks editor, and we need text name to become visible. And we're going to change that to true. And we also don't really need button hello to be visible anymore, do we? So let's go ahead and get rid of button hello. And we go with a false block there, because we don't want it to be visible. Let's have a look at the emulator. Pressing hello will then disappear the hello, and we have the hello world label and then the text box. So that's exactly what we wanted for this part. One last thing we need to make visible is the enter button, so that we can play with when button enter click block. So let's go ahead and make button enter visible. Much the same way as everything else. And there we go. So now that the button enter is visible, what do we want to make invisible and visible when the button enter is actually clicked? So if we go ahead and make some things invisible, and that should be what we need for this. We see the build, we can't actually press on any buttons, so what I'd suggest doing at this point is where it says connect to your device, click on there and just restart the app. Okay, so once you've restarted your device or the emulator, reconnected, you'll see that your app has come up with the first screen. You're able to press the hello button again, so go ahead and press it, and you'll get the hello world little label and also the text box where we can enter our name. And clicking on the enter button will give us just the label result, so hello Ben, which is all great and all, but how about if we could say, I don't know, let's have the application tell you which age range you fall into, whether you're young or you're old. Now for this, what we're going to need to do is add a few more components. So if we head on back to the design screen, when working in the design screen, you might find it easier to make everything visible again. just so you know where things are on the page. You can always change them back at a later time. But the things that we are going to be adding now is another text box and another button. So go ahead and add those. If you do leave things invisible, you will find that they appear in random parts of the screen. So you might want to go ahead and fix that. Yeah, so just add these, the text box and the button, and tidy it up as it says in the handout. Okay, so welcome back. You can see that I've added the text box and the button required in step 17. I've tidied those up and done all the formatting that needed to be doing. So it's laid out in 17. So let's go back to the blocks editor. What we need to do is add a few more visible rules to the button enter click. So what we need is for the text age box, the age text box, and the button age to become visible. So go ahead and do that. I'm sure you know how to do that by now. Okay, so these blocks are visible now. So what are we going to do? What happens when the button age button is clicked? We need another new block. Alright, at the top here. Now, this one will be a bit of a different block because we need to have it do one of two things. What we need to introduce here is the if-else block. So if we go have a look in the control section of the built-in blocks, it's right there. There is if-else. Because what we want to happen is when the user puts in their age, we want the program to then tell us if they are young or they are old. So we need to add a little bit of math. Okay, so what we're going to do first is set the condition for the test. So in the math block, we need this block just here. And for the purposes of this app, what we're going to use as the dividing rule is the age 40. So if we go into math, get just a number block at the top there, number 40, and we need to plug that into the second socket. So what's the rule we're going to be judging against is what text is actually entered into text age. So we need the block for text age text, which is just there. Now, if you did your editing right and followed the handout, you will know that they're not allowed. The user will not be allowed to enter any words in this. It'll just be numbers only. So, what do we do if text age is greater than the number 40? Well, for the purposes of this test, they're going to be old, unfortunately. Yeah, sucks, eh? But what we're going to need to do is change the label result. Remember label result that we use here? We're going to use it for something else now. So we're going to change its text again. And because we're going to be using more than one outcome, we're going to need a make text box state again. You might find your your canvas getting a bit cluttered up. Of course, you can move these quite easily. Okay, so what do we want the make text to say? Well, it'd be cool if they said your name again. So let's go with the original was text name, and we go with the text that was entered in there. And we want something else as well. We want a little message for our normal standard text box. Unfortunately, you are old. Always best to put a space at the start, I find, just in case, because it helps to add to the presentation. Go and stick that just in there. At this point, you can have a little play with the emulator, see what happens. You see the how old are you block. Let's put in a random age. It tells me I'm old. Oh no. Okay, so we know that works, but what if I put in an age less than 40? We also need the blocks for that. So again, we're going to be changing the label result. And just block it into else do. We need another make text. And again with text name.text block. But this time we will be going with you are young. And that space at the start, and just plug it in. Alright. If we do want to try that out again, it's just going to be a case of having to restart your device, because those buttons you need to press at the start are going to be invisible, unfortunately. So we'll take a break there, see if you do want to do that. Just make sure it's all working properly. Okay, so your device or your emulator's restarted, so we can go ahead and test out the your last button now, basically. You will notice that at the bottom of the if-else block, you are given the option to add more blocks, and I've used this opportunity to add a little bit of more visible rules, just to tidy things up at the end. So let's go for that last test, straight from the get-go. Just enter your details. This time we want to go young, remember. So let's go with 18. And then you'll see with the extra editing I did at the end, everything else disappears, and we're just left with the label result with Ben, you are young. So yeah, that's the end of my video. You might want to have a bit more of a play around and say Hello World is a really basic application. You can try many other things like adding pictures, changing colors, adding sounds. Maybe you want it to do something else. A good thing maybe would be to add a button that exits the program. But yeah, of course that's all up to you, and just make sure to show your tutor any changes that you do. Thanks for listening.